Welcome back to Napoleon Total War, the Great War mod. Last time around we took Constantinople, and in doing so we knocked out the Ottoman Empire. Unfortunately, in that battle we managed to lose our Australian cavalry, but they are making a return as we're recruiting them. We're gonna have to hold the city for the first revolt to come in, or the first counterattack, if we might call it that. So we're gonna hold on and see if what the Ottomans come up with attacking us. Beyond that, we will be relocating the army as soon as it's free to do so towards Belgrade. We're gonna reinvigorate or re-establish Serbia and then make our way towards Vienna. And that's the goal of that army. At the same time, we do have an army here in northern Germany. It will continue its advance as best as it can. As a lot has already pointed out, is that our movements down here at the Battle of Darmstadt is that, continuing to attack this area is just gonna, be attritionist war. It's a stalemate. We're gonna go in, we're gonna lose troops, we're gonna have to pull back to get reinforcements, the Germans push in new troops, and we don't get anywhere. So it's really to go this route up here. Next up is Hanover. Doesn't look like they've got any troops to defend that. But sending a single army over there could risk it getting encircled since the Germans got quite a few troops they could push through. And there's a bridge there, it's easily blocked. Now there's another one there, but that could also quickly be achieved. A kind of block of that. Now, obviously, maybe I could send in the navy, but then again, I decided not to go against the main German navy over here. That should be the next target once we pacify. As we take Belgrade and start moving along the coast here, we should be able to neutralize what's left of the Austrian navy. And with that, that would free up all our naval forces to then fully go on and slam and attack the Germans and start in a more serious move into the Baltic Sea, make sure to block the ports, but also gain a view of the entire, be able to land troops if needed along the coast here. So what we need to capture is all of these territories in the north. Currently we hold 2 of them, but there's an additional 5 that we need to hold. And then of course the Brandenburg region right there. And as we've been kind of slow in terms of progress. It's August 1916, early August I should say, 1916, and so far we've only been able to take 3 territories from the enemy, 5 if you count the fact that our allied the French, actually more than, because the Russians have managed to take 2 there. But there's a lot of victory positions that are needed to be taken that in the current state we're not even close to getting through. And I mean, we're halfway through the war, or halfway through the time we have to accomplish our goals. Not looking too well in that regard, but we are ramping up the war effort. So we also have now the 3rd army being set up. We've got an additional few troops being recruited for it. That's going to be, and that one is going to join with Douglas Haig over here, and we're going to hopefully rapidly be advancing along this line right here. And hopefully the French will kick in and move along this route against the Germans. And as the German defenses unravel, that will enable, hopefully, our allies to push as well. We've got the Italians. The Italians moved in, took a territory there, but I'm hoping they kind of advance a little bit towards here as well. And maybe even here. Same with the French moving forward here, and hopefully the Russians can regain some kind of attack against the Germans. Their attack against Germany kind of collapsed as the Germans somehow managed to get in and take Königsberg, and then the Russians found themselves surrounded in Western Prussia, and then quickly after that, that was destroyed as, well, the German Navy is still intact. They can't supply their troops in that area. But that's where we go today, so most likely we're going to see a revolt take place in Constantinople. We're going to fight that down. In the meanwhile, I will be moving my troops around to go ahead and set up for attacks on our enemies. We also have the Irish, but it's only 3 units left, and we should be able to destroy them. Once that's done, I can demobilize most of this, which will free up resources to build maybe a 4th army that could be sent against the enemy. I'm gonna go ahead and send this plane. We need as much information as possible about our enemies. So I'm going to go ahead and send this one across. And we're gonna be able to figure out what the enemy is doing. I've actually noted that the Belgians are moving far more aggressively than the French are. We can see actually there's 2 Belgian forces right here which are moving forward, and it could be that they are going to cross over into Baden-Württemberg before the French, which would be kind of interesting, but also I would say rather embarrassing for the French. The French also had a disastrous blitzkrieg attack towards Berlin, which was completely bonkers, to say the least. But enough talking. I think we all understand what the situation is. Now we just need to keep going on and win this war. As we move into the next turn, we've got a researcher. Not a very good one. He's a trickster. Ha! No surprise then that he is in the college down here. Not that to say that the Ottoman would, you know, that would be some kind of trickster, but if you imagine a trickster researcher, as you were, researcher within quotation marks, he would obviously be inclined to move to less established areas to conduct his, within quotation marks again, research. So newly acquired territory. Hopefully we'll get something out of that. Constantinople fallen. First she was Byzantium, then she was Constantinople, then she was Istanbul. Who knows what she shall be known as next? She will be known as New Manchester. That's what we've decided to rename her as. Capitalist reforms. Wonderful. Letter of demand from Rumelia, and also the workers are on strike. New units. We've got Canadian shock troops ready to be sent to this army. Now we've got an additional 2 slots besides the 2 heavy guns that I'm recruiting. And should I have more Canadians maybe? We have 2 Canadian units, but the Canadian shock units are small. It's only 100 men strong. So we might want to have even more just to pile on the numbers for those attacks. So yeah, I think we're gonna go with 2 extra. Or the unit would actually need cavalry. We've actually conducted quite a few successful cavalry attacks with our army. So instead of having... Or, you know what, maybe I'm overusing artillery for this army. We could only use one of the bigger guns for this. And instead, we would have 2 cavalry and 1 extra Canadian. Oh, we do already have a Canadian. We already have 3 Canadians. That's perfect then. Then we only need 1 extra Canadian and 2 cavalry. Right? Or no, that because 2 artillery, then 2 cavalry. With 3 Canadians, I guess 3 Canadians is fine. We don't need 4. Great. Commercial sector in Edinburgh. We've got the medium barracks in the Rhineland, and we got a village being built up in the Rhineland. Is the resupply is still shit? We're gonna have to build this up to a town before increasing this. Still can't really recruit anything here, but that makes sense because it's newly conquered territory. I guess if we had a factory here instead, we could actually get some machine guns going. The Germans aren't really moving forward here, and our troops are in pretty good shape, even with our low resupply. I might move my forces forward to bait this army to come out and attack us. And that is exactly what I'm going to do. And we're still actually within our own territory, and we're moving along the rail line, so we're actually able to resupply our troops.
Yes, my lord.
I think with I mean, a lot of the talk right now is about the war in Ukraine, and with that, a lot of it is about logistics. And I've always kind of had these different ideas of how to expand sort of the logistics side of Total War, because I've had these ideas of, you know, being able to cut off armies from resupply and stuff like that. And with the resupply system as it is within Total War, what if it wouldn't just be within the area, but the unit would always have a meter to conduct what kind of resupply they have, and depending on what kind of road, how close to the, you know, roads, towns, whatever, to the different supply nodes. And that would be kind of an interesting thing. And then you could have, you know, if you say we're playing as Russia during the Napoleonic Wars, you could have small Cossack units that would move out and attack the road as you can. You know, if there is a trade route going along on roads, maybe it's just Empire, maybe. Like, no, here we go. So here's a trade route that goes from Berlin through to this port, and you can raid it like this. You know, you'll only be raiding the economic side and so on, but what if you could do that anywhere? So in this case, you know, a German army pops up, starts raiding on the bridge. Suddenly, we don't get any supplies. Well, the supplies we do get are the ones that kind of naturally come out of Oldenburg, as that would go. But the ones that would be coming from here, and additionally be able to, you know, come from Britain through a friendly port, this route would now be blocked. So we would only kind of get what naturally would be occurring through here. So the resupply would be reduced a lot, and units would have to be allocated to open this up, and so on. So that would be like interesting, you know, mechanics to introduce, rather than maybe, you know, the reduction of all kinds of features instead, which is seemingly what they're doing. I'm going to continue to move after this. Looks like we're not going to be able to reach them before they go ahead and attack the town, but then again, it's only 3 units, so what does that matter? And an attack here is imminent for my fleet. There's no point actually in holding it here. It should immediately actually be deployed to this area, because I can sink all the enemy, and then for the relocation of the army I can use this transport ship guarded by 2 armored cruisers, if necessary, to move the army quickly, land it, and attack here. Right. Looks good. So, once more, let's go ahead and end turn. We have another aerial combat somewhere. I have no idea where, because it doesn't kind of show me. But I'm guessing it might be here. So we can see that this guy is really good at shooting. So obviously I wouldn't want to go shooting, I would want to use the sword, but I'm not entirely sure which one is the sword and which one is the shooting here. I'm guessing because sword is on top, that would be the aggressive one, and evasive one would be pistol skill, because definitely don't want to go up against his pistol skill. So I guess we go for aggressive. I think it worked out fine for our pilot, actually, because he was just... he wounded the enemy. Very nice. I'm guessing it maybe was just a researcher that came out to fight us. It's a bit odd. Also notice this. Wait, Archduke Joseph August of Austria. What is he doing all the way up here? We're gonna post a plane about here. I will have visual over the road, I will have visual over the town, and visual all the way up here. Workers riot in Rumelia, destroying a big town. Dublin is under siege. Waterford, that is the port in Ireland. Letter of demand. And units recruited. So the cavalry has come in, and the heavy guns have been recruited in Great Britain. Now I can quickly move over and take Hanover, actually. And you know what? I think I will, actually. There's basically nothing to stop us from it. We only lost 60 men compared to almost 1200 for the enemy. Of course, that was only novice strategist. But that was, of course, only... what's it called? Militia troops. I was hoping... the reason why I took this was I was hoping that the resupply rate would be higher here, but clearly it wasn't. Does this increase resupply? We get tons of timber, and cost of construction building in all my regions and building repair cost is reduced. So that's pretty nice. One thing that would need to be upgraded here is the rail capacity, because that's not too great. And with the region under our control, this aircraft could actually move closer to Berlin and be situated something like that instead. This one would continue being in this region, being able to see, look at that. So keep an eye on this. And then the new plane that came in could be heading towards Dresden, taking a look at what's going in there. Also, I noticed here with a bomb plane that went over to Hungary, there are Hungarian nationalists that have risen up against the Russians. There also, it seems like the Russians are recruiting troops and sending in more troops, so their position is pretty strong here. So they've got lots of troops and seemingly more coming through the gaps in the mountain. Interesting. Same time, we've got the Navy moving forward. We're closing in on that revolt in the capital. We can see the resupply has increased a lot. It's going to moderate for a lot of units, except for the Highlanders. So that's nice. We're going to be building up the infrastructure to actually hold this town in place. So we're going to need a city administration to help us with that. Now there was a large town that was broken down. There's this one over here. We're going to see about repairing them when we have chance to do that. As we go through, then, it's to break the siege over here. So we're going to go ahead and attack these two Irish units. Go ahead and auto-resolve that and get rid of that one. Auto-resolve that as well. Upon that, a single unit remains. And I don't think we actually need all the service battalions anymore. It's going to be the cavalry only going after this one, which attacked the port. Grizzled old sergeant, and mentioned in dispatcher. So this guy is doing fairly well. Unfortunately though, our port is under the control of the last Irish rebels. which I obviously don't like. With this also, now we've got the super heavy howitzers brought into the army, and then we've got cavalry coming in, and we should start moving towards the port to send this to Europe, as we definitely need troops if we intend to attack this area right here where there's a large concentration of German troops. Right now, you know, the road almost to Berlin is open with only slight troops in the way. We could go in and we could actually take that. But I'm more interested in actually destroying the area around Darmstadt, because that is actually not a victory condition, which is interesting. It's actually not, but it will enable, hopefully, the French to move in closer. Well, that's my hope anyways. Oh, look at that! I imagine this is the Italians moving forward and laying siege to Munich. Interesting. Very interesting indeed. Let's go ahead and end turn. See what the enemy has in store for us. Airplane detected. Not very interested. We've got advanced construction. Good. And now, finally, we've got the Rumelian rebellion. It's stronger than I thought. 3 siege guns? At least? And then another troop there. It's a lot stronger than I thought. Cavalry in England. And then we've got factory in what I will now call Old Manchester, as this one is the new one. At the same time, the Irish left port, and we will be able to gunning them down in the countryside. And there we go. No. Yes, send them to Davy Jones' locker. Cavalry now gone. The general will be heading through to London, and that will be fine. At the same time, the army makes its way down to the port. We bring them all on board, and then across to Belgium, and then back. So, second army has landed. Should be moving as soon as possible. With that said, at the same time, I guess, I mean, we're not going to be able to, it's pretty expensive. I'm not going to move out, just in case, you know, I could move out, attack and destroy this one. But that seems foolhardy, as this one could move in and attack us, so not great. Not great at all. We're going to move in the navy. And we're going to take a position here, and we're going to start to raid. Now, the Austrians have another port up here, but it looks like that one is blocked by the Italians, so that's good. And even though I can't attack this place, like I can't attack this port. I can only lay it under siege. So there's no point right now until we can bring up the cavalry, land them, and force the navy out. Bomber plane is moving around here. Hungarians are splitting their troops. More Russians are coming in. More and more. There's a lot of Russians. Now they got 2 full stacks building up in Hungary. So I guess their, you know, quick advance to Germany failed. They're gonna do a quick advance through Austria instead. Interesting. With that said, there's no more moves to be made. So we'll just anticipate the attack on New Manchester, I mean. The enemy didn't actually make it to New Manchester, they stopped just outside. At the same time, Winston Churchill gained the trait Nationalist. -2 garrison repression to the region. -5 recruitment cost for all units in this region. Some have said that I should switch Churchill from actually being the head of the navy and instead make him the the Prime Minister instead. Really, I need someone good for the army. Maybe I should put Winston on the army instead. And something like that. Instead, I wish we had someone better for the Navy, but that's about it. And then I don't know which is best to put where. I also note that I never enable tax here. Huh. One turn anyways, and then we'll fight. Right, there we have it. The Ottomans counterattack. They've got 3,000 men against our 2,500. They've got plenty of heavy artillery. It's long-range siege howitzers. Lots of cavalry and lots of infantry. And then there's, of course, a reserve unit as well for this army. Not that they've sent that one forward. Biggest worry, of course, is the massive artillery they have. Because they outnumber all but one of my guns. Or outrange, I should say. So that's going to be difficult. But I think we'll manage one way or another. We've managed before. With that said, let's go ahead and fight this battle. I've deployed my army as follows. So as we can see, maybe easier to see on the map, there's a lot of impossible terrain all across here that will break up the enemy's advance. What I've gone ahead and done is we've got machine gun over here with the 12th Australian Infantry backed up by the New Zealanders, and we've got gas projectors in the back. We've got field guns right here where the Scots are holding the front. We got machine gun up top being able to shoot down. I'm hoping to shoot anything that comes through that valley over there. They're backed up by the heavy howitzer. We got the general, and over here we've got 4 units of Australians ready to move forward. Now I could spread these guys out further on either side, but I don't think that's going to be necessary. And then we got another field gun over here, and the Australian cavalry ready to hopefully move in to hide in this woods. And then as the Ottomans advance, they could swing around and hopefully attack the siege guns. With that said, we're going to go ahead and start, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rush this cavalry into the woods and hopefully avoid a lot of what they are going to do to, what the artillery is going to do to them if they stay in place. Looks like the Ottoman artillery is not at all worried about firing at my cavalry, as of now anyways. So for now it's going to be artillery barrage against each other. Looks like the Ottomans are actually targeting the forwardmost infantry units instead. We've got the Australians getting hit there by the siege guns. Heavy hits by the Ottomans. At the same time, we're doing some good damage on their cannons as well, or at least the batteries close to us here. You can see they're getting hit, and also they've sent some of this reserve cavalry units forward into the attack. Maybe I should specifically target some of these units, hoping to drag them forward. They're riding straight towards the machine gun group right here. We go for the actual machine gun. There we go. You can see some of our troops flying all over the place there. One of the Scottish units there, I'm can see down to 100 men. Some of the Australians down here to 131. Looks like we're gonna overshoot this bullet, maybe. Yeah, it looks like we're overshooting. But definitely not a fun time to be an Ottoman reserve cavalry trooper. riding straight into 3 machine guns. And as they close even further, the infantry is able to open up on them. Right, they seem to have withdrawn one of the cavalry units. I'm hoping then that it's a lot more lightly defended than one might think. So we're gonna have the Australian cavalry move forward and try and achieve here artillery superiority. As I started moving, I noted it looked like shells were flying this way. Yes, shells are now flying this way as the cavalry moving out of hiding is now coming under attack by the Ottoman artillery. Not too happy with the fact that the Ottomans are not advancing on me, but maybe I shouldn't be too surprised, as the Ottomans do in fact have the artillery advantage in this fight. I'm gonna be careful here not to have my cavalry units shoot each other as we move into position here to destroy this one. Losing quite a few men in this unit, but now as I've got 3 cavalry units firing onto the Ottomans, we can see their numbers dwindling. 1 cannon destroyed. We've got another cavalry unit riding into the machine gun fire. My cavalry is now ready to move in and take out the unprotected cannons. There is an infantry unit right there though, so we might want to actually pull back a little bit now. We did some good damage, but now we're receiving fire from the infantry, so we need to pull back. Only 2 guns remain here, and now we kind of activated these units. These batteries aren't even firing anymore. I wonder then, since the enemy is really not advancing on us, should my cavalry maybe move here, try and strike these guys in the back over here instead? Could be dangerous if these guys keep following us. I would wish the Ottomans would strike my defensive position, but it looks like that's not gonna happen. At least have the guns that are able to fire on these fire on. We can get some fire there, and then the field guns can target these guys as best as they can. Looks like they are actually following here. With our targeting of the units here, the cavalry is pushing forwards. And I guess we should be moving forward. Some units are probably best left behind, actually. Some of the more broken up units gonna be left behind. Okay, they're coming up behind us now. And now we've got mad dash by the cavalry through this little gap, and then we're gonna end up behind the enemy's artillery, take that out, while these guys going God knows where they're heading right now. They're a bit all over the place. Oh, the cavalry is coming closer here. Let's actually halt the units so we don't get overrun by cavalry. This machine gun should make short work of them. Plus, once the Highlanders stop to fire here, should destroy them. Good, good. The cavalry is setting up back here. I think we'll have an advance at an angle from this position. We'll strike towards the enemy. Right, the cavalry was sent away. Given the Ottoman's position, we'll advance into that valley right there, with these going this way, and then that is the position, and then we're well positioned to defend the area as well, given the machine guns and stuff, so we're confident in leaving our cannons sort of unguarded. Right, let's advance the cavalry. Tell them to fire at will. I'm gonna start by shooting down the enemy general as we ride up here. Start peppering him from the back. There he is. Trying his best to coordinate his troops. Not going too well. My Australian cavalry is slaughtering his men. But he's bringing up a lot of troops. A lot of infantry is moving forward here. Luckily the terrain is such that it protects my Australian troops. What I want to do is I want to get rid of the cannons. I'm going to charge there. We are receiving direct infantry fire from this regiment, but because of the terrain it's not actually killing that many of my cavalrymen, so we're actually holding on, and we're going to destroy this unit while my cavalry is rounding up the siege guns. Okay, they're gone. We're gonna have these guys retreat then. Now we're getting shot in the back. We're gonna have all the cavalry then pulling back towards this location, close to the end there. Enough to break these two guns. They're not gonna take part in the battle any further. These aren't even firing. As the Ottomans are decapitated, a lot of their troops don't even know what they're supposed to be doing. What I'm going to do is we're going to move forward the entire line, pin the Ottomans in place, and then the cavalry will hopefully come in, sweep them away. Let's target these units. The stragglers over there. And then the heavy guns and the gas will be concentrated towards the concentration of enemy troops right here. Actually might do better firing at the stationary unit. Cavalry coming out of the woods would protect them from a lot of the incoming fire from the enemy. Currently there's a ridge going through here. Okay, so he's trying to move forward. I'll detach you to move that way. You will be detached to move that way. And then let's see if we can't start to move towards the enemy in this fashion. I want to lock these guys before, or lock them in place before they start to shoot up my cavalry. Start firing the gas and the heavy guns on these. Troops moving forward rather slowly, need to tell them to run. Ottoman's got very low morale. I'm retreating the troops a little bit further back here. We don't have a lot of space to move on. But the troops have now moved into position. Cavalry is making its move. The Australian cavalry is charging. Oh no, gas! Hold fire! We've got a massive break through the Ottoman lines. Advance. So the cavalry move over here, try to avoid taking any more losses. And we're more or less done here. Close victory. Why did it end right now? There were still troops left on the field. Huh. Interesting. I've never seen this happen before. Anyways, clearly we won there. Odd that it kind of just abruptly ended. But great. We've got a victory. Here's the result of that battle. So the Ottomans deployed 3,000 men, they lost 2,487, which leaves about 600 of them left, compared to our force, which deployed 2,500, wherein which we lost 700 men, leaving 1,800 left, with good resupply rates as well, so quickly the Australians will be back in the fight in no time. In terms of our friendly fire, it's only about 40 men, which is pretty good given that I was afraid we're shooting down a lot of our own cavalry. In terms of the highest killers, it's gas that gets the most. 600 kills for the gas projectors, followed with machine guns at 260, heavy howitzer, then machine gun again, then Highland infantry. And then we've got the Australian light horse at 130, and 118, 88, and I can't see where the fourth one is. Because there isn't one. I only have 3. Great. There we have it. What's this? You are blocked. They were able to kill the Hungarian rebels. Undoubtedly there will be more. Got a reconnaissance plane on Ireland. And new technological advance. Increased unionization and administration reform. With this, the Ottoman, the old Ottoman capital is definitely under our control. Now all I need is to establish a force which can hold the city, or just suppress it from having any more of these troops turn up. And then I should be able to send this force rather rapidly over to the Balkans. We already are in the Balkans, but you know what I mean. Sending over here to revive Serbia. But with that said, I think it's high time that we end the episode right here. So I'll say, as I always say, hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and hopefully I'll see you guys for the next one. Bye.